Hello, you fabulous interior design professional. Welcome to Business of Design. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Kimberley Seldon, and I've been talking to a client this morning, and you know what that's like. It's been an interesting conversation. There's a couple of things that went wrong on a project, and we're getting them resolved as quickly as possible. But sometimes the clients aren't quite as patient as you would like them to be, and that's what's going on for me this morning. But forget all that because that's not why I'm here. I am here because one of my favorite subjects in the entire universe is profitability, and your profitability matters to me a lot. Well, my profitability matters to me a heck of a lot because I've grown accustomed to being able to travel and fly business class when I want and do all these lovely things and buy a second home, et cetera, et cetera. But your profitability matters to me a lot. And that's why I'm excited about today's episode 416, Projects Most Profitable with LoriAnn Kuntz. LoriAnn is a CFO. She's the CFO of Profit Priority, which is a boutique accounting firm and fractional CFO firm helping creatives go from unsure to unstoppable when thinking about their finances. She's got 8 years of experience, and her insight is there to help other design professionals level up when it comes to removing the stress and the burden of managing finances. And LoriAnn can be found on Instagram at LoriAnnKuntz.co, and she can be found on LinkedIn at LoriAnn Kuntz a whole bunch of numbers and letters. So go to businessofdesign.com in the show notes, and you'll find all the different ways you can meet LoriAnn Kuntz, and I want you to do that. And we are going to talk, as I said, about one of my favorite subjects, and a subject that really matters to you if you're running a business, because if you are running a business, you have an obligation to be profitable. Beyond your wildest dreams is way better than barely profitable. And one of the things we've learned in the last 5 years of running BOD boss groups is how to set up your P&L so that you can track what you need to track efficiently and effectively, how that information can push you beyond your wildest dreams to the next level. So it's not just like motivation, rah, rah, go to the next level. This is specifically what I want you to do. This tiny little step is going to increase your profitability by 2%, which will put another $200,000 in your pocket at the end of the year. So small changes can make a big difference. And you're in luck because coming up in October is the Business of Design retreat. And this is going to be different. Every time we do a retreat, it's exceptional. And you can go to the website and you can see so many testimonials about how powerful the retreats are. But this is going to be the retreat on steroids, because in advance of the retreat, yes, you are going to be able to submit your profit and loss statement to the Business of Design CFO. That profit and loss statement will be analyzed and brought back to the group, and everybody will learn how to set up your P&L statement in the most succinct, efficient way, what precise information you need to take from your P&L month over month, and how to track increments of profitability, not just by project, which is what we're talking about today with LoriAnn Kuntz, but also overall profitability. What's the difference between revenue, income, profit, and how do you eventually get to the point where you're growing that independent wealth? In the 5 years that we've been doing boss groups, and we've had groups in Australia, Canada, and the United States, we have been absolutely blown away by the results. It happened much faster than we thought it did. We exceeded our own goals for the project, exponentially. And we are going to roll that out at the retreat so that you can be part of that excitement as well. So the retreat will be, let's put it this way. You will walk away from this retreat running a better, smarter, stronger business in a position to be more profitable immediately from day one. I guarantee that. It's so interesting. When I say guarantee, I'm not speaking in hyperbole. I'm using it as a metaphor. I literally guarantee it. We've never had anyone say that wasn't mind-blowingly fabulous. So we want you there. We want you to work with Business of Design's fractional CFO, and we want you to be in a position where this year and next year and the years ahead can be more profitable than you ever dreamed. That's what happened for me. More profitable than I ever dreamed. I never, ever dreamed I could make as much money as I do, which sounds really, I don't know, arrogant or conceited. But if you knew where I started, all you would say is that's a miracle. And if it can happen to Kimberly, it can happen to me. And that's what we want for you. So sign up for the retreat. Sign up immediately. Cheryl put it on the website, and within hours we had signups. So we're anticipating selling out the retreat. It'll be the best retreat we've ever run. We want you in Santa Monica in October. It's a beautiful time of year to be there. We have lots of delicious surprises in store, but most importantly, you're going to come away empowered and ready to rock in a way that you've just never been ready before. So, on with the show, I would say. Let's hear from Cheryl Horn, and then we'll get into LoriAnn Kuntz and talk about projects most profitable. I'm so glad you're here.
Thanks, Kimberly. Well, I don't think I can do a better promo for the retreat than Kimberly just did. Again, it's really about increasing profitability and taking your business to the next level. We're already excited about the group that's starting to form. Registration's only been open a couple of weeks, and we do already have designers signed up, but there is still room for more, and we would love for you to be one of them. So I'm going to skip ahead right to the logistics. Mark your calendar and join us on Thursday, October 16th to Sunday, October 19th. Again, it's going to be in Santa Monica. Regular price is $39.90, and members are going to save $500 on their tickets. Register before March 31st, and it's only 50% down to hold your spot. Details are on the website in terms of what you are going to get out of this amazing experience with us. For those who register, we will send you a loose itinerary just so you can plan your days enough that you can travel and you can anticipate some homework in advance, because again, we want to deep dive into your profit and loss. We want to know what you want to get out of this retreat. A lot of the learnings will be based on what your biggest challenges are and what you want to accomplish in your business over the year that follows. Our attendees are really going to help us decide on what that content is going to be. So we will have more details on the itinerary as we firm that up, getting closer to the retreat as the group fills. So again, it's going to be a small group, and we're already seeing a lot of interest, and registration is already happening. So save your spot, get in there, register now. Email me if you have additional questions, and we would love for you to join us in Santa Monica. Thanks so much.
Hey, Lori, how are you this morning?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm well. We were just chatting before we got started here about how pretty the snow is, and we're both getting some snow today. You're in Ohio, I'm in Toronto.
Yeah.
Would you get out in the snow much? Do you like it? Do you embrace it, or do you fight it?
Oh, I love the snow. Actually, today is it's actually warming up, so a lot of it's melting, but I'm all about in the snow. Like to go outside with my kids. I like to go skiing. We were talking before too. I live in Ohio, so we have to go travel somewhere to go skiing, but I really do like it, and it's just I don't know, it's pretty and fun. Have a little fire inside. It's so cozy.
It's the best, right? I love when
Yeah.
it's sunny and there's just fresh white snow and it's all sparkly. It's so beautiful. Yeah, as you know, I moved from Los Angeles to Toronto when we got married. And I thought for sure there's going to be great skiing because, Canada. No, it's kind of flat in Ontario. So we also have to travel for skiing, which is funny.
Yeah.
Hilariously, I can ski big hills an hour and a half from Los Angeles, but I can't from Toronto. So that's like just who would ever think that? But there you go. All right, we're not here to talk about skiing or snow or wintertime or any of those good things because Lori's a profitability expert, right? And we both love the idea of interior design professionals actually being profitable. Call us crazy, but we think that's a thing you should go for. So, in particular, Lori, I thought we might talk about or do a deep dive into something that we've touched on before, but never really broken down. And that is the value of understanding profitability by project, not
Mhm.
just the overview of your P&L at the year end, but why do I need to know as an interior design professional how profitable one project is versus another? Start at the beginning for us there, if you will.
Yeah, of course. It's so funny because like it's one thing that always comes up, and a lot of times clients, like interior design clients, will come to us and be like, okay, maybe they do have good bookkeeping processes and systems in place to where they have like the balance sheet and the profit and loss and everything's good for taxes, but they're like, okay, one question is like, how much money do I actually have in my bank account? And then the other one is like, why does like one year look really good and one year look really bad? And like, why is it so up and down? What's going on? Like, my profit and loss really doesn't make sense to me, even though it really, like, on an accounting standard, it does. It's like, it's correct. But a lot of times is like, we noticed that they were looking at just their profit and loss based off of the month or the year. But you guys all know, like, projects last a year or 2 years. I mean, there's big deposits coming in, there's big purchases happening at random times. So that's really going to skew just looking at the profit and loss as a whole in your business. Now, don't get me wrong, that's really important. We need to look at that. But even further than that, we need to make sure we're looking at each project's profit and loss, each project's budget, each project's like estimates that we have or that you guys have given to your clients or that you have internally done and been like, okay, this is where the project is at. This is what we've taken in as like a retainer to get to a certain point, or however your structure is. Everyone has different like structures and how they bill and how they work with their clients. But we need to make sure it's clearly laid out from the very beginning and then track those things. On a project specific. So we have clients do this in spreadsheets. We have clients do this in the accounting platform. We personally usually do that in the accounting platform. And then a lot of times they have it done either in their like CRM or whatever they're using, as well as a spreadsheet a lot of times too. So we have multiple different points because there's just so many different moving parts, and we want to make sure we're gathering everything because as you continue through a project, it's so easy to just kind of get out of control and kind of get like, well, we need to buy this, we need to do this. And then it's like, wait, hold on, the client hasn't paid us, or we've used all of the retainer they like put in at the very beginning, or
Oh
my,
no.
yeah. And it's
Don't
like,
do
okay, wait,
that.
hold up. We got to invoice for more. And so then it also comes down to, okay, what's your contract? What are your terms with your client? So there's so many things that we've found through starting tracking profitability per project.
Okay, so let's unpack it a little bit because I can understand. I'm going to play devil's advocate and say there are lots of designers who think, well, if my profit margin is 20% or 30% or 50% at the end of a year, I'm just making these up. If that's my profit margin, then why do I have to bother project by project? Because they must all be around
Mhm.
that number. But in fact, there can be some big variation between one project and another project. So talk specifically about that. Why do I need to know project by project and not just year end, my total profit margin?
Oh, that's really good. And like if you are profiting 20% at the end of the year and it's consistent, it's like I see how that's like, okay, well, why should I track a profit or project by project? The biggest thing is like whenever we're looking at projects as a whole, projects are so vastly different. You can get into one project and it can be something that you didn't even think it was going to be, or you can have another project over here that's like, oh, okay, well, that was massively larger than what I thought at the beginning of talking to a client. And then just profitability per projects can range quite a bit. And I think the goal is to get to the point where we're looking at the profit and loss, and that is showing exactly what your project profitability is. Like if you have
Mhm.
it pretty much tied out really good, it should show pretty close in terms of I would say your gross profit and not your net profit. So we can kind of take a step back there. And so I'm looking at things like, okay, you have your income coming in, you have your sales, then you have your cost of goods sold. Those are things that are directly tied. Those are the furniture purchases, the hardware purchases, whatever, things like that. We also count in labor costs in there. So
Mhm.
labor costs that's directly tied to the project, we put in your cost of goods sold. So anything directly tied to that project, and then what's left after that would be your project profitability. But then on top of that, you have operating expenses. You have
Mhm.
paying for a CFO. You have paying for softwares and subscriptions. That's not tied to a project. That's tied to just the business and running the business. So
Mhm.
if your profitability is 20%, then your profitability, like if your profitability on the P&L is 20%, then your profitability for the project needs to be quite a bit higher because you still have to run the business.
Yeah.
And so there's variation with projects. There's variation until you've really done a good job at tracking and making sure that each project is really close. Um,
In your experience, where do you see variation in projects? What makes one project
Mhm.
more profitable than another project specifically?
I see it when interior designers are not really like honed in on a certain like type of industry, a certain type of price range of a project, to where we're doing a lot of things across the board. So we might be in short-term rentals, we might be in residential, we might be doing a lot of just design work, we might be doing a lot of project purchasing, and not really a lot of design work over here. So I think it comes down to creating your core services and your packages and really having a really set, like, this is what I do, as opposed to just kind of throwing things and doing like
Right.
making it very custom to the client whenever they're coming to you. Now, that's not bad,
Right.
but
But
in
wait, I
order for,
think what I hear you saying is that if I have this office
Mhm,
and I'm doing some commercial projects and I'm doing some staging and I'm doing some decorating and I'm doing some renovating, the profitability in each of those categories is going to be different. And
mhm,
if I don't slow down and pay attention to which one of those categories brings in the bacon, makes me
mhm.
some money, um, I might be doing myself a disservice.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and I mean, it goes with any type of business. We see
Hmm.
across the board, it goes with me too. If I get like all these shiny object syndromes, like, oh, I want to do this and I want to do this and I want to do this, nothing that we're doing is a well-oiled machine. So we can't be
Hmm.
super efficient, super profitable if we're all over the place. And I'm an entrepreneur too. I
Hmm.
Yes, I'm an accountant. I love numbers, but I do have these random ideas that I want to do. And my
Yeah.
team has to, and they do a really good job of coming behind me and being like, hold up, LoriAnn, like if we keep throwing new things and new stuff that we're doing, we're not serving our clients well, we're not being profitable, we're not like taking it to where we can make this service really, really, really good. And then it also with that, that comes into marketing too. If you're really good at one service, then you're really good in the market for that one service and that
Hmm.
one industry and that one particular thing. Um, so it's not just coming to a profitability standpoint. I mean, it always, I guess, ends up at that point. But whenever you're really honed in on one thing or a couple of things, it's easier to be profitable on it. It's easier to run a team. It's easier to just grow and scale.
Okay, so that's just, again, it's another expert who's telling us that if we can pay attention to our niche and stay in a lane, pick a lane and be the expert, an expert in something, because
Mhm,
experts can charge more money and experts have systems that can deliver, as you say, a well-oiled machine, a well-oiled experience to the client, and then you can focus on that one thing. However, in my experience, a lot of interior design professionals are like, look, I just need work. So I'm going to
mhm,
take anything that comes in the door. I don't care. And when you're overwhelmed and when you're too busy and you're not slowing down to analyze, you could miss the fact that, hey, you know what? I actually don't make money on lobby renovations for
mhm,
condominiums because I'm not purchasing any product and
mhm,
I'm not purchasing any of the services, any of the labor. So I'm actually making a bare minimum on these projects. Is it really worth the resources of a team to pull this off when there's no money at the end of the day? Where if I do a renovation for a residential client, I make a lot of money because I'm charging on
mhm.
all those other things. So it is a bit of a slow down, take a breath, do a deep dive, right? And like, wouldn't you say, I think a lot of people, the first step is, yeah, get your profit and loss where you can see it at the full year or once a month. But then this is a little bit deeper dive and a way to influence your own profitability a bit more. Is that fair?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, like you said, you want to have your profit and loss, you want to have your bookkeeping in check for the business as a whole, and then just take a deeper dive. And one thing I did want to touch on is we were doing this with a client at year end. So I guess October-ish. We start planning for the next year, help them set goals, budgets, forecast, etc. And she was kind of in the same position to where there was multiple different types of projects happening, some on the really lower end where it was just design only, some that were really higher end, we're buying furniture, the markup on those. And so we put together like, okay, so if we're wanting to hit X amount of money for 2025 in revenue, let's put together a couple different scenarios on the types of projects we're getting. So let's do like three different types of projects, like small, medium, large, and see how many of each that we need, or a combination of each type of project that we need to be able to hit the goal that we want to hit. And that was kind of an eye-opening experience for both of the clients that we did this with, because they were so set on taking these smaller projects that are like, well, they're coming to me, like I don't want to say no. And then it
And
was like,
some
oh,
money is better than no money. We hear that
yeah,
a lot. Well, some money is better than no money. Sometimes,
yeah. But if you're losing money or
sometimes
breaking
not.
even,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, you might be better
Yeah,
off to say no to those jobs, free up more time for marketing the jobs that
yeah,
are profitable, right? Because you're still going to be
yeah.
paying your insurance and your association fees and all those other
Mhm.
operating costs, whether or not you're making profit.
Yeah. Yeah, and like what happened with that is like, oh, okay, well, I can do a couple of like the medium and a couple of the large scale projects. I can take more time in my marketing. And the thing that they really liked about that is they get to work with less people. They get to work with less
Yeah.
like general contractors and less like deliveries and like all of the stuff that is just a big headache for interior designers. And so they're like, oh, okay, like I can see that. Like I can go land it. So now their marketing shifted to get those to be more profitable.
Yeah, less work, more money. That sounds like, I
Mhm.
don't, is there anyone
I'm
that would argue with that philosophy? I don't think
I'm
so.
good with that.
Just as an FYI, Business of Design literally has a course that will teach you how to define small, medium, and large clients and to anticipate how many of each of those sizes you want in a year to match your revenue and profitability goals. Of course, revenue is great, but profit is better. So we always keep a focus on your profitability goals, but there is a course at Business of Design that can help you with that. Info at businessofdesign.com, and you can speak to Cheryl, and Cheryl always knows the names of the courses and I forget them. Why? Because I'm busy working with clients. This Business of Design is my passion project, but
Yeah.
working with clients is actually how I pay the bills. So I remember distinctly when I started paying attention to project profitability by size of project or by
Hmm.
makeup of project, and discovered, in fact, it was in 2008, 9, it was a terrible recession. And the only jobs we were really getting were kitchens and baths. And my profit margin was low. And I'm like, huh, this is interesting because we're busy doing kitchens and baths, but there's not as much profit. What's going on here? I just assumed it was
Hmm.
because we were slower. It was a recession. I had a bit too much staff. I was trying to hang on to my staff. But it turns out that a kitchen project for us is not as profitable as a decorating project of multiple rooms in a house. It's just not. We just don't have the margins on appliances, etc., that we do on some of the soft furnishings as well. So a kitchen that has a great big great room, awesome. That works really well. But just a straight up kitchen or a straight up bathroom is not quite as profitable for us. So it doesn't necessarily, would you agree, Lori? It doesn't necessarily mean you're never going to do another kitchen. It
Hmm.
just means that by becoming aware, you might be able to make smarter choices about who you take on as a client and where you put your marketing efforts.
Yeah, for sure. And like if a kitchen is a gateway to a bigger project for a specific client, then
Right.
I'd be like, you know what? Yeah, that's fine.
Good
And so
point.
it's not necessarily like you gotta weigh other things involved. And so yeah, like I said, if it's the gateway to a project for like a lot more furnishings or whatever, then yeah, let's do it because then you're taking a lead that's probably going to take a next step to doing a bigger project. So
That's
it's
a
just
really good point. That's a really good point because
yeah,
sometimes people are like, I would like to build a relationship with an interior design professional. I'm going to start with this one room and
yes.
see how it goes. So often I'll consider, is this in the right neighborhood? Is this the right snack bracket?
Mhm.
Does this look like there could be other projects down the road? That's a good point.
Yeah, and even too, like who are you doing it for? Too is like, do they have connection and community that those people might need interior design projects? So it's looking a little bit beyond just the numbers, even though that's the foundation of everything. But like, okay, what could this connection potentially lead to?
Right, right. So becoming convinced that you want to slow down and look at profitability by project, what are some things that you're going to be focused on in your profit and loss to make that happen, to make those numbers more clear?
On the profit and loss in general or like the project profit and loss?
Project profit and loss.
Yeah.
What are my key goalposts I'm going to keep an eye on?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we really get specific on we want to see like the design fee split out. We want to see your purchases split out, like what you're billing and invoicing your clients. For the furnishings, we want to see any procurement fees that are you're adding on top, depending on how you are marking things up. So we again, all of our clients do things a little bit different. And so depending on how you're doing will kind of depend on how we're setting things up, but we do want to see those things split out. And then we want to be really specific on, like I said, the cost of goods sold. So we want to look at the shipping individually. We want to look at the contractors or any labor that might be associated with the project. Looking at making sure we're tracking sales tax in there. Any, like I said, product markup. We want to see that. So, and that can be seen by having your project or profit and loss set up while your cost of goods sold, you can say project. I can't talk. Goodness.
It's a
Product
lot of peas.
purchases. It's a lot of P's. Product purchases. And then on the income side, you see like products or furnishings to where your income and your cost of goods sold accounts directly line up. So
Yeah.
if there's like shipping, you can see that, you can see the products. And then you also have like obviously your procurement fee if you have that as well.
Well,
So you want to be,
it requires you to slow down and make sure that every single cost and
yeah,
every single sale is attributed to the correct client name or project name. Because if it isn't,
yes.
then your books they're random.
Yeah, and then I was getting there is like you want to make sure your profit and loss is set up first, and then from there, let's say you're in QuickBooks Online, which is the most common. There is a project like tracker in there, which is really great because then you can put budgets in there for them. You can pull up a whole dashboard of kind of where you are at with your project. Now, I will say though, what has happened in through the bank account and in through QuickBooks could be different than what has actually happened in real life. So you might have invoices pending, or you might have income sitting here that you have not collected from the client, or you might have like terms with the furnishing company that you're paying every 3 months or whatever it might be. So that's where a spreadsheet comes in place. So we do the like tracking in QuickBooks for like what's actually happened through the bank account. And then we have another spreadsheet of what like has been agreed upon, what the terms are, what you're paying out at what schedule, what the client's paying you at what schedule, and so forth. So you want to have kind of both of those things happening.
Mhm.
And then obviously, like you said, making sure you tag the expenses and the income to that specific client.
Yeah. This is for those who fear the numbers, for those who prefer to put their head in the sand and let a bookkeeper take care of all of this. This all might sound a little terrifying. But the
Mhm.
reality is, it doesn't take very long for you to get the hang of this, and then it becomes second nature because I'm no mathlete, and I found it a little daunting at first and thought, well, how much more do I need to dig into this P&L? And the answer is just a little bit more. And there's
Mhm.
just so much information in it that can be invaluable to you in your business.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I will say though, like one thing I do want to touch on is if you do end up hiring a bookkeeper or a CFO or whatever, um, for one, make sure that they are tracking per project. The amount of clients that have came to us from other bookkeepers and they're like, yeah, our bookkeeper don't track per project. Like that's a no-go. You need to be able to see that. But number two is you can't hire and just think you're out of this. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh no, I wanted to just like outsource my accounting and my bookkeeping and not have to think about it. But there is a direct correlation and conversation that continually needs to happen with your financial team, or else it's not going to work really well. And we've seen that a couple of times. We've seen clients that are just like, you know what, I want to just hand completely everything off. And I'm like, well, I don't know what projects you're getting ready to sign. I don't know if you change your terms and service, like your terms in your contract. I don't know what's happening. And so we're here to help you guide you through the financial side and give you outlines and stuff of what to do. And then we do take care of like the QuickBooks account, but we do need to know who's this purchase for? Is it for client A or client B and stuff like that. So there is a little bit of responsibility, as with any business owner or any CEO of a large company. You do have to be aware of the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And it does take time. It takes time, but it does get easier. And then people start to get a little obsessed with the numbers and start to get like really loving them and love the calls that we have. And it's really fun to see that.
That's me. That's me. Somebody who's
Yeah.
like, no, I don't want to know. I just let my bookkeeper do it all, to like, okay, fine, I'll dig in. And now I'm like, I'm in there all the time. And I have
Hmm.
meetings set up with my accountants and financial people twice a year.
Yeah.
So do more, but I've had a team in place for so long. One thing I will tell you is when you have a new bookkeeper, no, you can't let go of the steering wheel. You just can't. But if somebody's been with you for 10, 12, 13
Hmm.
years and you've developed trust and you know how to go into the system and double check that everything is just right, there is just a level of hands off that's so beautiful. And
Yeah.
and I feel really, if I can become confident around money, anybody can become confident around money. Lori, thank you so much. We love to end every episode with, I think, by the way, I hope you've convinced everybody that you need to not just look at the bottom line, but look at per project profitability, because it can teach you so, so much. So thank you for that.
Yeah,
Um,
of course.
we like to end every episode with something we call design intervention. It's just a great piece of advice for our business owner.
Um, I would say the biggest thing that I have learned, um, is to not, and I'm sure people can kind of have heard this before too, but not look at anything as a failure. A lot of times people get very discouraged, and I don't ever, people will be like, what's the biggest thing that you would change in your business? Like, if you would start over again. And I truly don't think I would change a single thing, because everything that I've been through, everything that we've done, or every little like maybe wrong step we would have taken has allowed us to get to where we are right now.
Yeah.
And so looking at everything as a learning experience. And then also I was talking with one of my mentee like students, and we were talking about how she's like, I just like feel defeated. Like, I don't know if I like want to do this. And I'm like, those like you're still going to have ups and downs in business, like it's always there, like it's a roller coaster. But the thing that happens is like you get through one thing and then you keep building confidence. It's like, okay, I've been through stuff before, I can get through it again. I've been through low seasons. Okay, let's figure it out. You become really quick at making decisions.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm on a roll, but I have one more thing
I
is
like that.
don't don't get so caught up in little decisions. I'm a very quick action
Mm,
taker. Like it's
yes.
either like a yes or a no. Like whenever you slow down and take forever to make decisions, that holds the business back. And so there's wrong decisions that I've made, but a lot of times just making quick decisions drives the needle.
You know what? I love that you brought that up, because I think that the ability to make fast decisions will increase your profitability
Hmm.
exponentially. And it's
Yeah.
really difficult because people don't want to go. They're like, if I make the decision, it's wrong. What's going to happen? You know, what's going to happen is you're going to learn something and you'll make a different decision next time.
Yeah, you'll
Moving
change and
on.
pivot.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true
yeah.
for your business overall, and that's true for your projects as well. So that's really good advice, Lori. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Enjoy the beautiful weather where you are.
Yes, you too.
All right, bye for now.